Hi, my name is Charley Martinez, and with the COVID-19 pandemic taking its toll across the country, us economists in the southern region decided we wanted to get together and talk about things that aren't as talked about as much, and that's what us as all consumers we consume. And today, on this video, we're going to have Kenny Burdine talking about dairy products and how that's affecting people at the wholesale and the retail level. Kenny?
Well, thanks, Charlie. Good to talk about some dairy stuff. Dairy, first of all, I guess I would say is a little bit unique in its perishability, and all these markets are dealing with this processing bottleneck challenges. But dairy is unique in the sense that when those cows are milked, you've got a limited amount of time to get that milk from the farm to the processor. So we're seeing a lot of things on TV, mainstream media, dumping of milk and things like that, and so that's a piece of it. And then the fact that it's perishable and the fact that we are having challenges in terms of both processing facilities. And then I'm hearing a little bit of reports too about even challenges with milk hauling and so forth. So you've definitely got that same bottleneck in the dairy system that you do in some of the others. I want to just kind of quickly look at fluid milk price. I think it's going to be interesting to kind of start there. But if you look at what fluid milk prices have done over the last little bit, so we're going to pull this up. So this came out late April. And I want to start with fluid milk because that's what most of us think about. But if you kind of look at what fluid milk prices have done, and I'm going to scroll to the very bottom here and just show you here's January, February, March, and April. There's really not been much retail impact in terms of the price of fluid milk. And I think that's interesting because what we're definitely seeing at the retail level is we're seeing that retailers are trying to limit purchases somewhat, set limits, things like that. So a couple things I would say. Number one, retail price isn't always a great indication of demand or supply simply because retailers oftentimes will use something like milk as a loss leader, and you see that some. So I think some retailers may be trying to hold their milk prices somewhat constant to kind of drive traffic at times. The other thing that I guess I would say is, we've had this major shift from food service to at-home consumption. And I think we see that in fluid milk maybe more than any other dairy product. And the way I guess think about this is, one of the main complements to fluid milk is cereal. And I'm convinced that we've got a whole lot more people that are eating breakfast at home as opposed to eating breakfast, on their way to work, at work, running a drive-through. And I think it may be driving some more fluid milk consumption. So I think we're actually seeing more fluid milk consumed at home, but we've lost the demand from the food service market. The other things that I think have impacted it is that, the school lunch program is very significant, right? And, a lot of milk is consumed there. That's major. The other thing I guess that I would say is that you have to always think about dairy as a collection of products. We think about fluid milk, right? But there's fluid milk, there's spoonables, yogurt, cottage cheese, ice cream, cheese, whey, powdered products. So you have to almost think about the entire gamut and how those things are driven. Wholesale price I'm showing you. But the first I'm going to show you here is butter price. And I want you to notice that butter price is actually down about 40%. So this is wholesale butter price, down about 40% from where it was back in January. And same thing for cheese. Cheese is down about 30, 35% where it was in January. And I think both of these are indicative, those prices being down, or of what we've lost in terms of export market, what we've lost in terms of food service market. So we see this sort of thing happen at the retail level, and it looks to me like retailers are trying to hold their prices steady on what they can. Then we're actually seeing softer prices for some of those more food service oriented products.
Awesome. Does anybody on our panel have other questions for Kenny?
I guess, I would have said, Kenny, you talk about cereal and milk being complements. And, I would have said that a lot of the fluid milk consumption that has essentially disappeared was because fewer people were eating cereal. Do you think that this might be something that brings back more fluid milk consumption? I'm talking about after this situation, or will people revert back to catching their biscuit and sausage at the, quick mark on their way to work or something?
I think there's no question that we're going to see a trend back that direction when things do open up more. But I think a lot of it also comes down to how long this lasts, right? You know, people tend to be somewhat routine oriented, right? And I do, there's definitely a possibility that some of this kind of sticks for a period of time. We do build some fluid demand back.
I've probably drunk more milk while I've been sheltering at my house in the last 6 weeks than I've had in the last 6 years. It seems like a fluid milk, and which ain't very much in the big scheme of things, but I've probably had more. I've seen, it seems like, people are at home, so they might be eating a little more cereal. At least kind of helps that out a little bit. Probably doesn't make up for everything else, but at least it's, something, it seems like, anyway.
Doesn't make, but it certainly helps. And I think that's the most logical explanation for what we're seeing at the.
Awesome. Well, is there any other questions? If not, well then thank you for watching this video, and we hope you find this useful, and be sure to watch the other ones that we've put together. Thank you.